My name is Kimberly Brummett. I work at the Carolina Forest Ortho SC office in physical therapy. I'm a wife. I'm a mom of 4. I'm a dog mom, and I have 25 years experience as a physical therapist. I will do a full disclosure that a lot of the information that I have is collected over those 25 years. But if I know specifically where I got any of the information, I will for sure disclose that information to you. Where I got my inspiration was from James T. Clear. He wrote the book Atomic Habits. And one of his quotes is, "Small changes repeated over time give you remarkable results." And so that's where I just want to talk to you about consistency is the key. That's the main thing I want to talk to you about today. So did you know that over 70% of New Year's resolutions revolve around health and fitness? InsideOutMastery.com says that 9% keep their New Year's resolutions successfully. 23% quit at the end of the first week, and 64% quit at the end of the first month. And since we're nearing the end of the first month, that seems to be a problem. 64% of you are just about ready to quit. So what I'd like to do is inspire you guys, maybe motivate you a little bit to try to keep your health, diet, fit goals so that you have a better, healthy lifestyle. So improving one's physical health is an important resolution to make in that one can have a significant impact on your overall quality of life. So why is it that less than 10% of us make it to the end of the year? Are our goals unrealistic? Are they not realistic? Excuse me. Several reasons were given, and I think some of the main ones were they lose their motivation. So one of my tips for the new year is find a partner, find a spouse, find a friend, find a neighbor, find somebody who motivates you and says to you, hey, let's go do this together, whether it's a walk around the dog park, whether it's, doing exercises in the home. Just find something that you guys can do together and that you can motivate one another. Being too busy. Well, being a mom of 4 and working full time, I know what busy is like. And so being busy is something I understand, but maybe carve out just a little small time in a day, and then that might be something that can help you stay fit and healthy. Being too tired is an example of a main reason given why they fall off the bandwagon. And then sometimes a shift in priority. And I understand that too. Maybe all of a sudden you have to take care of a parent that you didn't have to take care of before, and that's a whole new change in your life, or you're moving and you got to pack up your house, things like that. And I understand how a shift in priority can kind of derail us from our original goals. But health and fitness is something that I think is really important. And so sometimes willpower isn't enough. We have all the willpower in the world to do what we want to do, and sometimes we get derailed. And so in that case, find a friend, somebody to talk to, kind of help you get back on track as to what it is that we're really looking to do, which is try to be more healthy. So by setting specific goals and achievable goals, tracking progress, and finding ways to stay motivated, you can make lasting improvement to your physical health. So I believe that consistency is the key. Therefore, the title, that consistency is the key. So last year, my coworker, Jim Cole, he presented a challenge to our listeners. New Year's resolution challenge of exercising at 150 minutes, moderately intense aerobic activity per week. And that encourages movement to improve our heart health. Many of you participated, and I'm just kind of curious how many of you still do that. I think that's would be something that you could write in on the Facebook and let us know, hey, I started that challenge last year with Jim Cole and I'm still doing it. I think that would be great because that was a really, really good challenge for you guys. And so I would like to give you a few more tips that maybe we can do. I want to talk about consistency and the fact that let's use finances as an example. I met with a financial advisor years ago, and he suggested that in order for me to live the lifestyle that I wanted to live and to travel and to remain in my type of middle-class environment that I was in, I needed to have $1 million to retire. And that number was just, what? And he said, yeah, you need $1 million to retire, Kim. So we talked about it, and there was no way I could put $1,000 a paycheck aside. It was just an impossible goal. So I started with 0.5% of my income every paycheck, and I did that for a year. I didn't really miss it. So then we did 1%. Then I did 1.5%, and then 2%, and then 2.5%. And I'm doing little half steps all the way until I'm going to get to that goal, because one day I need to retire. And that's a goal that many of you have. Maybe you're already there and you're already retired, and you say, yeah, I understand that goal. That was something that you could do. But at the time, when you're 20 something years old and you're being told you need $1 million to retire, it's just an astronomical goal. So what I think you should do is do little deposits of health deposits as well. So we want to have good health when we retire. So why don't we just start incrementally small and build on that and keep building on that until when we get to our retirement age, we still are in good health. So that's one of my tips for you. My daughter is a ballerina, and in order to wear point shoes, you have to do at least 2 years of pre-point classes in order to wear those shoes. No dance teacher is going to put you in point shoes right away. You have to go on the pre-point shoes. And so, pre-point for 2 years. So consistency of going to class for 2 years in order to just put those shoes on and be able to hold your weight through your feet on your point shoes is another example that I'm giving to you as far as consistency is a key. And if that doesn't work for you men, how about kicker in a football? There's no way that kicker doesn't consistently go out there and kick the ball the same way, the same time, over and over and over in football, in order for the coach to rely on him so that he can make that field goal at the end of the game and win the game. It's a consistency. And so that's where I'm going with the whole presentation today, is just be very consistent. So let's start with, let's switch it. Having trouble switching it here. Okay, there we go. Got it. All right, so let's talk about frequency, intensity, and duration. So frequency, let's talk about daily versus weekly. I have an example. If you are a violinist, let's say you're a 6th grade violinist, and you have 2 6th graders side by side. One of them gives me 10 minutes a day for 6 days, that's 60 minutes. And the other one gives me 1 hour a week, that's 60 minutes. Who do you think at the end of the year is going to play better? Somebody who gave me 52 hours and touched the violin 52 times, or somebody who touched it every day, very consistently for 10 minutes, but they touched it and they got their neck in the right position. They got the feel of the bow. They have everything over and over and over and over, versus the one person who comes in once a week and plays one time and then puts the instrument down for the rest of the week and doesn't touch it until the next week's lesson. So I think you understand what I mean. So frequency, daily versus weekly. I think daily is more important. Weekly becomes important later once you get the daily. But I think if you can just start small, I think you'll notice. So I want to encourage you to try to do something little every day, just a little bit of exercise every day. And I believe that'll help. Intensity, let's start with less, because less is better. So if you're doing a PDX 90 CrossFit, that's real high intensity. And some of you are there, and some of you are really going to enjoy that hard workouts. And I understand that. But most of us, for the most part, we're not that fit, and we need to start somewhere. So let's start with less intense and work our way up to moderate intensity. So if it's just all you can do to walk to the mailbox and back, then that's all right. That's okay for you. So let's start there. And if you're already walking your block, maybe we just walk our block with a little bit more intensity. So now we're at the moderate intensity, and then hopefully we can work into that 150 minutes with moderate intensity aerobic exercise for heart health. And duration, I want to talk to you a little bit about shorter sessions. Let's do what we can. All right. A lot of us are falling off the bandwagon because we've made these goals and we think we got to go to the gym and we got to be there an hour and we got to keep pushing ourselves. And then we get really discouraged because there's a day that we just don't feel like going because it's really raining outside, a tornado's coming, and we don't feel like going. I understand that. So why don't we do just a little duration in your home? And that way you feel like you did something. And you're wondering, well, what do I do in my home? What if you were to walk the stairs? What if you don't have stairs in your home? Then walk the hallway back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then you did something, even if it's 10 minutes, you burned some calories, because part of, the fitness health is the caloric intake versus the output. So we want to burn calories, but if we're taking in more calories than we're burning, we got a problem. So if you're not a count your calories kind of person, I understand that. So we'll go ahead and we won't count calories, but let's just try to burn a few more calories. So as much as you can, find it in the day. To try to be very consistent and to frequently do it with moderate intensity, and in our duration, shorter sessions are more effective. All right. Oops, I went one too far. Stretching and strengthening. All right. So I had a yoga instructor tell me one time that the whole purpose of yoga was to meditate. And the reason they do all those stretches and all those poses and everything that they do is so that when they sit down to meditate, they actually aren't thinking about what their aches and pains and what's going on in their body. They get into the pose that they can just sit there and meditate without focusing so much on their body. So there is a fine line between stretching and strengthening, not a fine line, but they go hand in hand. So you can't just stretch and be this yoga person that's extremely Gumby and expect that you're in perfect health, although you're doing very, very well. I'm just saying you guys tend to be very lax in your joints and you have that flexibility in there, but we need the strengthening to support those joints. And so even though you're very fit, we need to be a little bit stronger in the support of your joints because you tend to abuse them because you can. So I did find out that I asked my yoga instructor at that time, I said, if you just had time for one stretch, what would it be? And she said the legs on wall pose. So I would give you that tip that if you are able to do legs on wall, which is literally putting both your legs on the wall while you're laying on your back. If you were able to do that, that was her number one stretch in yoga that she felt was a very, very good stretch for someone to do. So that's my tip if you are a yoga person. Enhancing mental health is an integral part of overall well-being. So let's find ways to reduce stress, and typically yoga is one of those. Find ways to reduce stress, seek ways to work on your personal growth and your self-improvement. So having discipline with your mental activity is just as important to your health as diet and exercise. One must learn to stop the mind from taking you to places that are detrimental to your well-being. So it's not easy, but with practice, you can change negative thoughts by first recognizing the thought and then asking yourself if it is contributing positively to your mood. And if it's not, then let's change direction. So find gratitude, find 3 things to be thankful for, and say those things. Find the silver lining, because those things really help. And when you have a good positive attitude, you tend to want to be healthier and more fit. So the next one is those of us who are more into the strengthening aspect. They tend to not be as flexible. They tend to be very strong, which is great. But they also need to consider stretching, because stretching and strengthening go hand in hand. So what they tend to have issues with typically is their injuries have to occur from being too tight. So they're too tight maybe in their hip flexors, and therefore they put too much strain on their back, and then they get a back injury because they're lifting a lot. So if you are more a buff person, then consider adding stretching to your program in order to prevent injury. So one of my tips for you is if you sit all day, consider doing an upright activity to counteract, such as tight hip flexors. So let's say you're on the computer all day, you're an IT guy, you're sitting in front of the computer all day. What if you were to stand and do walking or elliptical or Stairmaster, something in a standing position versus going to the gym and sitting on a recumbent bike or a rowing machine and doing all the things that are in sitting position? You're already sitting all day. So why don't we change your position to something in standing? So that would be my tip for you guys if you're sitting a lot. All right. Did you know that the Earth is 70%, the Earth's surface has 70% water? And I find it very interesting that the human body is also approximately 70% water as well. So I find that really interesting that Mother Earth is water, and we as humans are also consistently mostly made up of water. So I have a tip for you. And I do not know where I got this information, but I've used it for many years to tell people they're supposed to drink half of their body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 120 pounds, you're supposed to drink 60 ounces. So that's what you should take in a day, every day. So that rule of 8 glasses a day, typically the glass is 8 ounces, is 64 ounces in a day, is very real and normal for most people. But half of your body weight in ounces is what you should be drinking in hydration. So that's one of my tips for you. All right, I had a professor once, and she told me that I needed to invest in 2 things: a good mattress and good shoes. I've added to that one more, and that's a good chair and desk support, because I feel like most of us are doing a lot more in sitting nowadays, especially with the computers. So let's talk about mattresses. I'm not going to tell you which mattress to buy. I can't tell you which mattress to buy because only your body can tell you what feels good to you. Typically, a mattress should be firm and support your body and support your posture, but at the same time be soft enough that your joints don't get aggravated. So they recommend you get a new mattress every 10 to 20 years. That's a wide span. So I guess probably the more expensive the mattress is, probably the longer it lasts, maybe. But every 10 to 20 years, you should probably be looking into getting a new mattress. If you see sagging in your mattress, you should definitely consider a new mattress because it's probably not supporting you very well. So shoes, those look pretty worn, the picture there. So runners, I will tell runners to replace their shoes every 300 to 500 miles, 300 to 500 miles. You should replace your shoes if you're a runner. So the reason she said get a bed and shoes, and those are the 2 things to invest in, is because you're on your back all night and you're on your feet all day. And a lot of us are on our feet all day. If you're a cashier, if you're working in retail, if you're a physical therapist, we're on our feet pretty much all day. So we need supportive shoes, and you want those shoes to, I can't tell you which shoes to buy. There are a lot of good companies out there, a lot of good companies, and you just want them to feel good as soon as you put them on. You should not have to break a shoe in. You shouldn't have to say, yeah, I can break these shoes in. They're going to feel great in, a couple months. No, you should put them on and they should feel good now. The toe box should be wide enough that it's not squishing your toes together. The heel should be cupped enough that it doesn't feel like your heel slipping and sliding out of the shoe. So consider getting new shoes depending on how much you're wearing them. But every year probably would be, if you're wearing the same shoes all the time, consider getting new shoes every year. Shoes break down every 5 to 10 years, whether you wear them or not, because the synthetic material, it decomposes. So you're going to need to get new shoes every 5 to 10 years, whether you wear them or not. Just sitting in your closet shoes, they're breaking down, just like tires would break down just from being oxidized. So just know that that happens. And then we'll talk about the sitting posture. So I would like for you guys to have really good sitting posture. And so as you can see in the picture, your shoulders need to be relaxed and not up here. Your armrest should be down so that you don't have your shoulders in your ears. You need your back supported. Your spine needs to be supported. Typically your knees need to be 90 degrees and touching the ground. If they don't touch the ground, it's okay if you want to put one of those boxes. There's certain things that I've seen people have underneath their desk that elevate their feet so they are at 90 degrees. But invest in a good chair. You know, if you're sitting all day, I know that COVID has made us a little more sedentary because a lot of us have decided that we just can't go out. We're working from home now. We don't have to go. So hey, I'm at home now. I don't need to go to the gym because I can just get up and move around whenever I want to, which is great. And I encourage you to do that and take a lot of breaks. But having a good ergonomic setup, if you can see the computer screen on there, you do need to be a good 18 to 24 inches away from it and still be able to see it, not leaning in and squinting at it, and have it elevated enough that you're not looking down at it too, because that's where a lot of neck posture comes in. And we're always looking at our phones, and looking at our phones, it's not good on our neck. So I would encourage you to definitely try to get an ergonomic setup in your home if you're working from home or at your desk. Have your office manager get you one. All right. Next, my next slide is going to talk about optimizing movement for performance function. So we need to have good body mechanics. The person on the left has bad posture, and it says bad on her back. And then the one to my right, she has great posture. She's using her legs. She's got her back straight. She's sticking her butt out like she should when she goes to lift. So good lifting mechanics, guys, it's so important. It really is. I just had a call from a guy yesterday, a friend of mine. I went to Costco. I bent over, lifted the water, twisted, put it into my cart. My back's killing me. Do I need to go to the doctor? You know, and I have to talk to people like that all day long and try to advise them. Well, my advice is let's not get in that position. Let's get in a good mechanical position, optimize your movement for a great performance, and whether that's exercise or whether that's just a simple function like lifting a baby. So I love this picture because she's got a bad example and she's got a good example. So any workout that you do, I would prefer that you gave me 3 excellent, perfect mechanics versus 10 so-so, gave it your all, but you're not really in a good position. So consider that. If you're going to give me 3 squats versus 10 squats, then give me 3 good ones versus 10 so-so ones. All right. So please optimize your movement. You guys know how to bend, lift, and twist. I call them the BLTs, bending, lifting, twisting. So our spines do not like to be out of position. Our spines like to be stacked on top of each other like a Jenga, where, you know, you're just playing Jenga and it just goes straight on top of each other. That's what our spine likes. And whenever you take your spine out of that position, it doesn't like it. And if you have a bad back, it's going to give you a signal, usually pain, and let you know that, well, I didn't like that. So if we can minimize our bending, lifting, and twisting, then that's the best thing to do. Try not to do all 3 of those together. Maybe you could bend and then twist your body and then set the thing down if you've got something in your hands versus trying to take a big old thing of water and, you know, and get it over to the cart with one bend, lift, and twist all together. The spine really does not like that. So protect your spine. And so my tip for you for protecting your spine is the abdominal brace exercise. That exercise is probably the most taught exercise that I do. I teach that exercise to almost everybody. Not everyone, like if they're coming in for their ankle or their shoulder, sometimes they don't get taught the abdominal brace, but I wish I could teach it to everybody. So I'd like to use this opportunity right now to just tell you that that exercise is extremely important in protecting your spine. And we all want healthy backs. And so if you could do this one exercise every day, whenever you bend, lift, or twist, you will over time get a good habit of protecting your spine. And that's what I hope to accomplish today by teaching you this exercise. All it is tightening your abdominals. That's all it is. what you're doing is you're just tightening your abdominals as if you're going to cough, laugh, sneeze, get punched in the gut. All of that is what I'm talking about. It's a brace. If you've had back surgery, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because you can't get out of bed without tightening your abdominals. You can't move without tightening your abdominals. And when you've had surgery, you're so aware that, wow, my abdominals are very weak right now and I need to build them back up, because that's what protects your spine. So just know that tightening, we call it abdominal bracing because you're like bracing for impact. So like you've got a dog running into it and you're like, oh no, and you just brace for impact. So the abdominal brace is the key exercise. I probably have taught that at least 10 times in a day for my whole 25-year career. So consider that exercise and then practice it every day, consistently. All right. So let's go to my conclusion. Small changes repeated over time give you remarkable results. So James T. Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, he talks about breaking down habits into just small little changes. For instance, I've got a little key rack inside my door and right inside the garage. I used to lose my keys a lot. I'd go looking for them. Are they in my purse? Are they in my pocketbook? Or did I leave them in the makeup mirror? Like, where did I leave my keys? And having a key rack by my garage door has saved my life because I know where they are every time. So consistent. I walk in the door, keys go on the rack, always. And that's so I always know where they are. So if you have these small little habits, and what I'm hoping you'll do is use that abdominal core bracing exercise to help protect your spine when you bend, lift, and twist. If you make that a habit, then over time, you're actually protecting your spine day in and day out. And you can prevent or at least slow down some of that deterioration that comes automatically with age. So consider doing little tiny habits like shoes. I got shoes as an example. You know, my shoes are in the same place every time. I always know where my shoes are. I'm never running around the house looking for shoes. I've got a place for my shoes. So consider that as far as exercise goes. Start small and be very consistent with it. So may I suggest, just if you have a hard time getting just to the mailbox and back, then why don't you start going to the mailbox and back consistently every day, even if you don't know the mail's coming. Just go to the mailbox and back every day. Start there. And then maybe when you feel like you've done that enough and you're a little brave, maybe try walking to your neighbor's house and back. And then maybe your second neighbor down and back. And just build over time. And small habits are going to make remarkable change. Now, if you're already in the gym and you're going 3 times a week and you're like, yep, I do 30 minutes of cardio, and then I do legs one day, 30 minutes of cardio, arms one day, 30 minutes of cardio and core one day. That's great. That's awesome. But just consider maybe doing a little bit every day of the core, and maybe a little bit every day of legs and arms. But maybe you don't have to go to the gym. Maybe you can do it in your home. And so for you, somebody like you who are already going to the gym, what if you did 10 squats every time you go to sit down? You're like, oh, I got to sit. Okay, I'm doing 10 squats. And then you sit down. And then you get up, you go cook dinner. You're ready to sit down again to eat your dinner. Oh, got to do 10 squats again before I do that. So maybe somebody like you could start doing that. And then maybe somebody who has stairs and they just don't like the gym. That's not something that they like and they don't want to go and they're not going to go. Well, that's fine. What if you walked up and down your stairs 3 times in a row? It's going to get your cardio up. It's going to make you a little winded. It's going to make you a little tired. You'll start burning a little calories, and it's just a small habit. And maybe 3 times is hard for you now, but in a month, 5 times is hard, or 3 times is easy. So you can try 5 is what I meant. So, and those of you who play sports, or you're a golfer and your partner's canceled on you that day, doesn't mean you don't have to get out and go hit a bucket of balls. Go out, be active, get moving. Let's say you're a tennis player and your tennis partner canceled on you that day. Go hit against the wall, hit a bucket of balls against the wall. You guys can still stay active, but I would encourage you to get a motivated partner or somebody to talk you into, come on, let's go and be active today. because that's where health and fitness comes in. I did have a guy, he told me, Kim, I got to tell you, my New Year's resolution was to stop drinking. And I go, oh yeah, how you doing on that? Oh, I made it 6 days. And I go, that's great. He goes, what do you mean that's great? I fell off the bandwagon in 6 days. I go, no, it's great. What that tells me is that now you can make it, try 7 days. See if you can make it. And over the course of the year, drinking 52 days is a lot better than 365 days. So just find little goals, find little habits, and stick to them. And that's my encouraging word for you, because you got this. So time is your enemy if you have bad habits, and time is your ally if you have good habits. So that's a quote. And I would like to conclude with letting you know that currently OrthoSC has 5 locations: Carolina Forest, which is where I am, Conway, Market Common. They have an urgent care opening up February 1st. Murrells Inlet and North Myrtle Beach. They also have an urgent care that's open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 8 to 8. So with that urgent care, why don't we call it convenience care? Because the urgent care, yeah, and it's for orthopedic injuries. But, you know, I had a call the other day and she asked me, my daughter sprained her ankle. I'm sure she didn't break it. I really don't want an x-ray. I'm sure it's just sprained, but it's really swollen. She can't really walk on it. I don't know what to do. Do I have to go to the doctor? And I just said, you know what? We have an urgent care. I would go there because they're going to give you everything you need. If you need crutches, if you need a brace, if you need an x-ray, they're going to figure all that out for you. And you can go today. We also have same-day appointments as well. So that's something that I know a lot of people are frustrated that they are all moving to this area and they're not able to find a primary care physician, and they're waiting 2 months to find one of those. We're not primary care physicians, but if you do have an orthopedic injury, we do have same-day appointments. I think that's really great. That's really hard to find around where I'm from. So our team of physicians total 48, and they consist of physicians and physician assistants and nurse practitioners. And our therapy clinician team totals 34. And we have physical therapists, physical therapy assistants, occupational therapists, and occupational therapy assistants. So our phone number is 843-353-3460. And please feel free to give us a call. So I would like to thank you for listening and participating. I hope I gave you some tips that help you for the new year. And if there's any questions, I'll take those now. No questions? All right. Thank you so much for your attention.